Let's do it. That's what they said last night at the debate. They said, let's do it. Welcome, everyone, to the Average Intelligence Podcast. I don't actually know if we're streaming yet because YouTube is taking forever to notify me. But,
Usually, as soon as you hit the button, it's live.
and yeah, but I don't get the notification for some time.
Mm.
There we go.
Must have never.
For some time. There we go. Yo, Steven!
Steven, we haven't seen him in a while.
Oh, yep, your audio is good.
Steven.
No, we haven't seen you in a while. But we're talking boring politics tonight, but feel free to derail it. But yes, we're a Pokemon now. One of our most beloved and faithful followers. Thank you for joining us tonight, Stephen.
From the Spider-Man shorts.
Yep, yep. That's where we snagged them. It's like I keep telling the Republicans, you got to get them while they're young.
Man, that's those Spider-Man shorts. They really blew up our channel. He says, "Oh yay, politics." Yeah, honestly, dude, I'm so burnt out on politics. You can ask Jake. I have literally almost non-existent. Like I still know things, but I'm over it.
I am and I'm not at the same time. I'm very frustrated
That's
because it's like
exactly where I'm at.
because it's like to me, but and this goes for both sides. I am sick of all the lies and like this. I'm
Yeah,
frustrated because
right.
this shit is verifiable. It's a literal 5 to 10 second Google search. They're eating the dogs,
Google
eating
it.
the cats. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I'm not so sure on that one. Then literally even what's his face? How do I get that? Okay, even what's his face? JD Vance. He said that he's like, what was it him who said that, or was it Trump? And he was like, that's just what the residents are telling me.
Trump said it during the debate, but what I'm referring to the like TikTok remix. They're eating the dogs, eating the cats, eat the cat, eat the cat.
No, I haven't
Oh,
seen
you
that.
haven't seen? Oh, it's hilarious.
You've probably sent it to me, but like half the time,
You
like
know what? As a matter of
I'm
fact,
ripped, so
I don't think I did because I would have assumed you'd seen it. But anyway, that was the best part of the debate right there was the aftermath. Yeah, exactly. He's like, "How haven't you seen that?" You can find it. But anyway,
Steven,
so,
you're growing up before our eyes, man.
about to turn you into a. Well, I don't know. I don't know where your political leanings lie, Stephen. I would wager to guess based on your age, which I'm not going to disclose. Based on your age, I would say you don't have many. That might be an assumption though. So, but
I
yeah,
tell
so
you,
I'll tell you
no.
what.
I'll tell you what, Bobby.
I'll tell you what, Bobby.
Are you creeping up the
Everyone,
stairs?
I'll
Okay,
t-
so
I'll tell you what, Bobby. Everyone's political opinion is worth hearing, but those dirty Democrats don't need to be here.
like that's the thing. Everybody, see, listen, like, yeah, we talk on here and whatnot, and we think we have nuanced views, but for the most part,
I do, but
all the same.
oh, what am I drinking? This
Only the
is
names will change.
this is by Wonder Water. Only 10 calories.
He's bi.
Technically, the monkey's by.
Oh yeah,
Ba-da-ba-ba-da.
badass,
Now, below average
badass.
intelligence.
I know I was trying to come up with the new badass intelligence.
All right, so the debate kicked off. Before we really dig into it, I will say this much: there was a point during the debate where, honestly, like you were saying in our text thread, that you found it kind of boring, and my sentiment was, yeah, exactly. There was literally a point during this debate where I was watching it and I was like, wow, can we get these two to run for president instead of Trump and Kamala?
Nah, JD Vance doesn't have he doesn't have the teeth yet, like for it. Like
And
he's
fair
all
enough,
right.
fair enough. And I'm strictly talking about the debate. This was much more akin to the sort of debates that we're used to historically pre-Trump.
Hmm.
Um, and honestly, it was kind of a nice change of pace. However, now we're used to we're used to the Trump debates, so this seemed pretty. I'm shocked at how many people said this debate was boring when it was actually quite a good debate. But
Yeah, but Tim Walz, he said a lot of things, but they had like no sustenance behind them. I was like,
and fair enough, and we're gonna get into that.
and what is it with JD Vance's eyes? That dude has some dark eyelashes. Like
No, dude, I'm convinced he wears eyeliner, and we know he went.
a lot of people do.
Apparently, he went through an emo phase, so maybe that tracks. I don't know, but yeah, JD does look
I
like he
mean,
wears
hey,
eyeliner.
listen, I don't really care. You know, it doesn't bother me. I just think it's funny that he's got such dark eyes because he looks like he's about to go sing for My Chemical Romance or something, you
Because
know.
tonight will be the night that you will vote for me.
Over and again.
Please don't change your mind.
Yeah, he's talking to Trump. Don't change your mind on me because I
Like
will
you
never be
did,
VP.
like you did, Mike Pence.
No, see,
Oh.
I think that's a like VP is either smooth sailing or it destroys you, like Pence.
I mean, basically, yeah. And it kind of has more to do with the president than the vice president. But anyway, regardless. So the debate started with Israel, which I actually thought was, I mean, the reason why was kind of obvious considering what happened the day before. But I thought it was a good place to start. I would like to point out that
Did
Walls,
she give us 8 cookies?
yes,
Did we all have cookies? There were
yes.
still 4 left.
Okay, go eat some.
Ate mine.
Yeah.
um, I thought Walls
Why are
thought,
you judging me?
I'm online.
I don't care.
hey,
This
Steven
is
wants some
why I can't be
cookies.
around. It's your cookers. No,
Um,
we went to Max and Irma's tonight for dinner because normally they have all you can eat wings on Wednesday and they don't have it anymore.
well,
But we got free cookies.
because of that Biden inflation, Biden
Well,
inflation.
Oh, okay.
and it was only $15, dude. It was such a good deal
Oh,
for all you can eat.
So
I
what's
don't
the
even
Max and
remember.
Irma's?
I can't remember the last time I went to a Max and Ervers, but you just
Well, not
reminded
a
me.
sponsor.
It's
Yeah, well,
okay.
we have sponsors, and I forgot to mention them. So this podcast is brought to you tonight by the Down the Middle podcast and Casa de la Zissa. We'll hear about both of them later, but
Well,
like I said, we started. What'd she say?
I don't know.
Oh, but started with Israel, and Walls thought he like cleverly sidestepped the question to shit on Trump, but it was so clumsy because he was asked a
hmm
direct question, and he was like, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how much Donald Trump sucks. Oh,
But did you,
how can y'all
dude,
talk
did you?
about politics for an hour? That's pretty sad. Respectfully. No, see, honestly,
See,
Stephen, to answer
listen,
that
he's getting
question,
older and wiser. He's already on to us.
no, the thing of it is, though, the older you get, the more you do care about politics because the more this crap affects your daily life.
Yeah, because honestly, the reason we are in the situation we're in is not because of us. It's actually because our parents and their inaction because they were too busy, like I hate to say it, just living their lives and thinking everything wasn't getting changed, but it literally started to derail under their watch and it got bad and worse and worse and worse and they just still didn't pay attention. They were still living in the 60s, free love and fun and they didn't realize they were being taken advantage of and rules
But
being
on both
changed
sides,
and
even.
yeah, it was all of them. It wasn't just one. It's a beautiful mind moment.
Yeah, but the reason Waltz did that though is because I mean, let's face facts. The Biden and Harris administration can't defend Biden or Harris on Israel. They can't. It's demonstrably untrue to say that they support Israel strongly. Like, yeah, they're sending them arms, but that's Congress mostly. And the Biden administration has on multiple occasions tried to withhold the sending of weapons and aid to Israel on at least twice that I can think of. So and then now Vance did this too, where he kind of swiveled to talk about himself, which I hate it when politicians do this at the beginning of a debate. They're asked a straightforward question. They're like, "Well, first, I'd like to thank an opportunity. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank everybody for this debate. Thank
I
you,
was
thank God,
actually
thank your
getting ready to
mom."
bring that up. I was,
Oh,
that's I'm glad you're saying this because the thing
I
is, I
hate
knew
it.
we would disagree on this because No, no, not the intro, but like I was getting ready to ask you when he answered questions, when he said that like, oh, I'm gonna get to that, but then he goes into something else, but he
Well,
did answer the question in
and
the end.
and I give credit for that. And actually, it's funny because I wrote down Vance swiveled to talk about himself and little eye roll symbol that I made. Um, but then I had to write again. It said, but he answered the question. So points to
Dude,
Vance for that.
I didn't know he was he was raised by a single mother and whatnot, and he actually kind of like, you know,
Mostly, mostly
scrapped
raised
it
by
up,
his, yeah, mostly raised by
grandmother, his
grandmother.
grandmother. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, and with how successful he became, and like I literally had no idea who he was. And apparently, he's been pretty prominent for the last several years. But I
Yeah,
just
I'd heard his name was passing. This is what's frustrating about the Trump Vance ticket is both of them have really, really good points, but they almost never hit. Like the fact that JD Vance is literally the embodiment of the American dream come true. I mean, literally the embodiment of it. Came from poverty, came from a
have a good one,
bad and
Steven.
bad and broken home. Oh, see you, Stephen. Yeah, study hard. But yeah, you don't and literally, I mean, granted through the military, but he joined the military and then ended up going, was it Harvard or Yale? I think it was Yale, wasn't it? Yale Law School. It was one of them. I can't remember off the top of my head, but went to law school at an Ivy League and became a senator, and now he's running for vice president. Gee, Stephen, I don't know what that was. That was weird. Sorry.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
In that order. Um.
Oh, shit.
Oh, but then I had to poke fun at the moderators because the question was, would you support a preemptive strike against Iran? And I'm like, it wouldn't be a preemptive strike. Iran has already fired missiles into Israel twice. That is not a preemptive strike. That is a
No, that
retaliatory strike at this point.
yeah,
Anything Israel does to Iran at this point is retaliation because Iran has, like, and I'm not even counting actions through proxies. I'm talking about direct action from the nation of Iran against Israel. This is the second round of ballistic missiles and drones and all that shit. So anything Israel does now is retaliation. It's not a
it's
preemptive
kind
strike.
it's like everybody's going after Israel now.
And I don't. And the thing that I've been saying
It's
constantly, like,
almost biblical.
well, and here's the thing. Look, I don't want innocent anyone getting killed. I don't. I don't want it. However, everybody is now everybody's flying the flag of Lebanon, which Israel is not at war with Lebanon. Israel is doing targeted military strikes against Hezbollah. There's a difference. But now everybody's on, and they forget the fact that since October 8th of last year, Hezbollah has fired over 8,000 rockets into northern Israel. It's like they're ignoring it. And some of these people are so fucking stupid that they don't even know that. Which again, Google is free. I mean, I'm just the fact that people were actually condemning Israel for Grim Beeper. Oh my god, that was great. They were like, "Oh my god, people could have been hurt." I'm like, Yeah, mostly the
That's kind of
terrorists
what
though."
happens when you fight
Well,
with
but
another country.
it's like, yeah, but mostly it was the terrorists.
The Grim Beepers. I just got the joke.
Yeah,
That's
that's what they've been
fucked up.
calling it. That's funny. I'm like, that's good.
I
That's pretty
want to
good.
laugh.
I did.
That's that's pretty rough.
Um, and at one point, oh, because at some point Iran was brought up again. At JD said that, and rightfully talking about how the Biden Harris administration literally gave Iran billions of dollars, and then Walz is like, oh, they've never been closer to a nuclear bomb than ever. And JD's like, yeah. And who's the vice president? But then
Food for thought.
he accurately pointed out that thanks to the Biden Harris administration, Iran got a shit ton of money, and guess what they used it for? Imagine that when you give when you give a state that has massively supported terrorism over the years a shit ton of money, guess what they're gonna use it for?
Those are rookie numbers. They gotta
Gotta
pump
pump
them
them
up.
numbers up. I put in the Israel exchange, Vance won. I mean, Walz was destroyed in this segment.
Easily.
I don't know that there was a single segment where Walz actually decisively won the debate. There were a couple, I would say at best they tied. Vance, I mean, and here's the thing, I know everybody's going to say because I'm a Republican, I don't actually like JD Vance all that much. I don't know. There's something about him that I don't really care for him. However, he's good, and I could admit that he's good. He says some weird shit every now and again, but what politician doesn't? I've heard Tim Walz say some goofy shit too.
Yeah,
And
that's
don't even get me started on Kamala Harris. It's like, I mean, Kamala Harris speaking unscripted is literally like when you're given a writing assignment, you have to get a certain word count, so you start inflating and using circular language. That is literally what Kamala Harris sounds like. It sounds like she's trying to bump up the word count.
you literally use talk to or the middle button for the random words on your text
It's,
bar, and you're just doing this, and you just write a whole paragraph about it. Like, yeah, they are this that
so
we go
actually,
to the
here's
store.
the funny thing. I'm gonna give you a Kamala Harris speech.
The end.
So the prompt is with Israel in charge, and I have to say, I think he has the most important thing to say to him, that he's a good man to work for him. I don't know if he's a bad person to talk about that way. I think he should just say something, and I think he's got to do it for me. That
That's
is a
bizarre.
that is a Kamala Harris speech answer to a question given to you by the random word in the iPhone. And the fact that
That was a beautiful speech.
that's not terribly far off though. It's not. Um
When I was growing up in Dubai. No, wait a minute. No, I
oh
don't
no,
know. She just says
I
random shit.
I know I love the fact that now it's become a meme when people are like, listen, why do you owe so much on your taxes, or why didn't you get this done at your job? And it's like, well, listen, I was raised in a middle class family. I mean, it's become a meme, and there's a reason it's become a meme because no one fucking believes you. Anything else on the Israel segment before I move on to the hurricane?
No, sure. Move on.
We moved on to the hurricane, and the moderators immediately made the hurricane about climate change. I mean, immediately from the outset. And I'm just like, gee, wonder what side you're on. Here's the thing, people. Again, Google is free. Go back and look at the severity of hurricanes since 1970 to today. You will not see a direct upward trend. There are some peaks, but there are some peaks that go back into the 80s that are higher than most of the modern hurricanes,
Oh,
save
didn't
for
know
a
that.
handful. Yeah, you can look it up. They've been studying the shit for years. And think. I mean, this is the thing. I'm not a meteorologist, so again, if I'm wrong, correct me. Think about what causes a hurricane. What the fuck would the warming of the planet have to do with how a hurricane is formed? The answer
Not
is
shit.
nothing, or at least very, very little. I will concede maybe there's a minuscule thing, but I would think if the planet's getting warmer, it would actually cause hurricanes to become less strong. But I
Uh,
again, not a meteorologist, but I don't know.
but I have watched the news before.
Yes, and I did do the news once without wearing no pants. Um, so the
My
other,
dangalang.
so Walls again brings up the Inflation Reduction Act, growing jobs, when literally last month they were called out for having 800,000 fewer jobs than they claimed, something
I
around that.
I think so.
It was something that with
Trying to pull my shit.
they got called out basically for having under for not lied, but having wrong numbers, or maybe they lied. I don't know. They probably did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So then he said something that's really, so here's the thing though. This is a tactic politicians love to use. Walz said something that is technically not a lie, but it's kind of a lie because it doesn't mean what everyone thinks it means. So he said that they were producing more oil and natural gas now than ever before. Technically, that is true. However, if you watched our debate fact check episode, I went over this. And yes, because they are adding their numbers onto the previous production that's already going on. But if you look at the rate of growth, the Biden Harris administration is in the negative in terms of the growth trend. So
Weird.
while I mean, the thing is, like, it's technically true, but that would also be technically true if they opened up one more well than had been established under Trump. Technically speaking, they would be producing more oil and natural gas than the previous administration, but the growth doesn't show there. So it's not a
Mm.
lie per se, but it's a manipulation of the speech.
Well, isn't that what they're good at?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, and to be fair, politicians do this shit all the time, but the Democrats seem to be particularly guilty of it for the past couple of election cycles.
Well, see, I feel like they used to be better at it, but they're not very good at hiding it anymore because they've been allowed to get away with so much. So
And
they
that's just
just,
it. That's why I constantly say the hubris of the left, because they literally believe that no one's going to call them out for this shit. And unfortunately, nobody in the major media does.
yeah.
Because if we were fact checking people, it would have been like, well, that's technically true. Um, it should be noted that, and that's the other thing I don't like about fact checking, which is what I made sure we didn't just check
Dude,
literal facts.
at the end of the day, it's pretty much just third party.
You
It's
should never
all third
ever,
party.
yeah, you should never ever ever listen to fact checkers from a news network that is interviewing the politicians.
Yeah, especially when the rules were not to fact check and they literally broke their rules.
And I think that
I
might have
imagine you
been
were gonna get
Vance's.
there, but
Oh yeah, that might have been. I don't know that that was
that
Vance's
was his
best
shining
moment.
moment,
It
dude.
was
Like
one of them. It was
oh,
certainly one of them.
I was
Well,
like, good for
because
him.
exactly, and he did it in a very politically savvy and polite way, but he wasn't going to let him get away with it, and I
Hmm.
liked that. Then they muted the mics.
Yeah. Well, he got most of what he wanted
He
out.
did, he did, he did, and he didn't let them shut him down, and I liked that.
Mm-mm. No, like literally, they kept trying to talk, and he's just like, blah, 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 blah,
And I
blah, blah.
and I liked what he said. He said, "No, here's the thing. You said you weren't going to fact check, and you did, and I think it's important to give context to that." And I'm like, "Yes, it's very important to do that." We moved on to immigration next, and this might be. I think this is one of those parts of the debate where, for Republicans, Vance clearly won. For Democrats, Walz clearly won, and for Independents, we're not happy with either.
Dude, I think so many people are on the fence on this one.
I think the problem that most Americans have on both sides is that they don't really understand how the law works.
Oh, the
And
joke was lost on you.
oh, clearly, what was that?
I said so many people are on the fence. That was a poor joke.
No, no, I just it flew right over my head. So here's the thing that
Anyway,
I keep bringing this up with in regards to Trump, and this is what makes me think that they won't actually do it. Um, but we keep hearing about the mass deportation policy, right? And I have concerns about that because I fundamentally disagree on a lot of Trump's immigration policy in theory, not so much in practice. Because Trump said a lot of shit and he ended up not doing all of it. He did a
yeah,
lot
but
of
mass
things that I like.
deportation of illegals that, broke the laws of our
Well, but
country
he's
to get
that's
in.
just he never
I
said
don't
that
see why
though.
we couldn't. What did he say?
He just says largest mass deportation, but then whenever any at least that I've heard, whenever anybody asks him to clarify what he means by that, he doesn't answer. What does that mean? And how are you going to do this? What's your mechanism for doing this? Logistically, how are you going to do that? Who's going to be targeted? Will you and I think this was one of the few good questions by the moderators. Would you deport illegal immigrants who have children that were born in the United States legally? And Vance did not answer.
Well, it's hard. I mean, when you go into a country and if you go to another country and break a law, it doesn't matter if you have kids. You're going to go to prison and the kids are
Well,
going to be taken.
And that's easy to say in a vacuum, though. But again, that's what I'm saying. And then plus, and here's the most important part: what is the Trump administration's definition of illegal?
Someone who broke the law,
But what law? Does that include an asylum seeker?
our border law.
Well, I
Asylum
know.
has to go through the port of entry. If you hop the fence, you're immediately a criminal.
Okay, fair enough. But what about somebody who applies for asylum once they're across the border? Because that can't happen under the current law. It's a law. Okay, so here's my
I don't think
caveat.
that should be allowed.
But here's the thing,
You
though.
say someone who hopped the fence and then applied for asylum? Yeah, that
Mhm.
should be allowed.
I agree, but that is the law
They're
as of
line jumpers.
but that is the law as of today.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Well,
I didn't know that.
yeah, well, unfortunately, you can't retroactively apply a law in that way. So, and this is why it's complicated. So some people, I'm not saying all because this is so frustratingly a case by case basis. Some people are improperly told by the cartels or other people that help them cross illegally that this is the way you do it. And then they get here and then they don't realize they broke the law. And then once they do, they're too scared to seek a lawful entry point because now they're afraid they'll just get deported. So the Biden administration, I think their hearts were in the right place. They just didn't think about it. Is they have an app, and JD brought it up, where you can apply for asylum right through the app.
I mean,
Well, I'm sorry, not asylum. I'm sorry, temporary protective status, which
oh,
again is the law though. But what I don't like about U.S. immigration policy is temporary protective status is only 18 months, and it has to be approved, and it takes time to be approved. So
I think we're trying to be humanitarians too much and we can't afford it.
well, but here's my thing, and this is actually why I'm kind of leaning back towards the
Quit
Libertarian Party.
breaking the law, asshole.
We'll change the law. Because to me, it doesn't make any sense why somebody can't come to a port of entry, verify their identity, get proper credentials to work and all that shit. This is something that should take days, not years.
That right there, absolutely. But it
And
doesn't work
that's
that way.
well, but my
It
question is why
should.
doesn't it? That's what I'm
They,
saying. Why
they
doesn't it
don't
work that
want
way?
it to.
Exactly. And that's the
They
problem.
don't
And the
want it
people that
to.
pay for it are the Americans and the immigrants that come here. Those are the people
Mhm.
that pay for it. I know people that are in literal limbo in the immigration system right now, and they came here legally
You know, I'm not trying to say anything, and I my heart goes out to them. But if so many are coming here, why don't they all just band together and fix their own?
because nobody wants to get shot first.
Oh, I mean, somebody's got to fight for it. If you want it bad enough, you got to fight for it. They're fighting to come here.
It's less of a fight to come here, honestly.
Coyotes and sex trafficking, it's not very safe to come through the border. Like,
Well,
a
those
lot of people pay smugglers and whatnot, and some of them don't smuggle you. They just take your
they
money and then put you into
yeah.
slavery,
Yeah, I mean that
So
does happen. I'm
it's
more
all
or less
dangerous.
I'm more or less speaking to people who leave and enter through a port of entry, a legal port of entry, but they're still kind of in limbo. Like asylum seekers are in limbo for years.
That's why they wanted to remain in Mexico policy, so they're not in limbo and they're not on our dollar. It's like we feel for them, but we also can't be the humanitarians for the entire planet. We
See,
can't
that's
afford
see
it.
you you
We're
and you and I
broke.
see you and I disagree on that because I think we can. We
I
well,
used to
okay,
not
let me rephrase. Let me rephrase. I
until my
think in our
groceries went up
in
and
our
kept
current
going up.
financial in our current financial situation we can't, but if we change the law and fix the economy we absolutely could, because here's the thing: if you change the immigration law to just let people come here legally and work within a reasonable amount of time, we don't have to support them. They'll go get a job and support themselves. The problem is a lot of people who come here, it takes forever to get a fucking work permit, and what do you expect them to do? If they can't legally work, they're going to illegally work.
Well, they get EBT cards right off the bat.
Not everywhere, but it does happen, like I said.
I'll
And
say somebody's seen some
oh
recent
no,
EBT
it
pictures, and
has.
it's like
It has.
16 grand on a card.
It
We have
happens.
Americans who are literally starving to
It
death.
happens, and you know how you can kill that program? By granting a work permit within 7 days.
And
Once your
see,
background check comes out.
that right there, no problem with that.
Yeah.
Zero problem with that. That's the way it should work. But
I
guess
mean,
what? They're not gonna do it.
well, and actually I'm my libertarian leaning ass over here is like, why the fuck do we need a work permit anyway?
Well, if you're a citizen, yes. I mean,
No,
no, no,
fuck
no.
that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you're not a citizen, yeah,
Fuck
you need
that.
a
If
work permit.
fuck that. No, if it pleases the crown, may I work? Fuck you. No.
Well, you're not a part of this country. You weren't invited. You came and broke into our country.
I mean, to be fair, sometimes they are invited.
And what happened in kingdoms back in the day when somebody did that? They were hung.
That's just not true.
I don't know if it is or not.
People moved all the time.
No, I
No,
don't
okay,
mean
okay.
moved.
Actually,
I'm talking
actually, you know
literally
what?
broke in.
Actually, you know what? I actually take that back. There were certain times during in like the feudal system in Europe where a peasant farmer would not be legally able to move without the lord's permission to leave and the new lord's permission to come. So
That's why they called those landlords. It's
that
crazy. A lot of people don't know that history.
that is literally why they called them landlords because they were the
You
lords of the
couldn't
land.
move. You were stuck. They whatever rent they decided, that's what you had to pay.
Yeah, and you couldn't do fuck all. Couldn't do fuck
Yeah,
all about it.
but most peasants really didn't work like a whole like year. Like they only worked like 180, 190 days out of a year.
Yeah, but they also broke their backs every day doing it.
Yeah, but they were also
Do
the
you
plague.
this is a fun well yeah, there was that. You know what the average height was for
Where's my
a
cat?
do you know what the average height for an adult male in medieval Europe was?
5'4", 5'5".
It was 5'4", yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they
because
worked
now it's like what,
themselves
5'8"?
in Europe or
No, here it's like 5'8" or 5'9" is our average.
no, but even in the colonial era, the average height
I'm
for
sorry.
males was taller in the US than it was in
What
Europe.
what's the average in Europe now? Do you know?
I don't know about Europe, but in the United
Or
States, I think
where
it's isn't it 5'6", I think?
5'9"
No, that's not the average.
for males in the United States right now? Yeah, I
Hang
believe
on.
it's like 5'8" or 5'9".
Hang on, let's look this up. Average
Actually,
is spelled.
I'm 100% on 5'9".
That seems taller, but for men in USA.
I'm 6'2", so
Oh,
I
nope,
mean,
you're 100% right. Average height for men in the United States that are 20 years or older is 5 foot 9 inches. Slightly taller than the global average, which is 5 foot 7.5 inches.
yeah, dude, I've noticed that. Like, we're some gargantuans in this country.
That goes
Must be the
back to the
fluoride.
actually, you know what it is? It's our well, starting in the colonial era, it was honestly our diet and the wider open spaces.
We ate
That's literally
meat.
we ate meat and
We didn't eat much
probably
bread.
well, more importantly, actually we did. We ate a fuck ton of bread, but
I know.
we drank a lot of milk. We drank a lot of milk.
I love milk. It just doesn't love me.
Um,
Oh, we're derailing bad.
yeah, we sure are.
That's my fault.
Then I loved that. Oh, and Vance brought up asylum fraud, and I want. I'm not saying it's not happening. I want a more defined definition of that term so that we can actually talk about it and not speculate. Uh, but he masterfully brought up the 320,000 migrant children that are missing that the State Department literally fucking lost as a rebuttal to Tim Walz being like, "Oh, they're the party of family separation." He was like, "You 300,000 children, you stupid motherfucker." It's
Damn.
like,
Yeah,
um,
like I said, a lot of words, no meaning.
I
That was
also
his
love how,
entire.
yeah, Walls repeated the talking point that out of everyone in this race, Kamala Harris is the only one that has prosecuted international gangs. I'm like, that's 1 out of 4 people. You do realize this, right?
And
That's
she
one
literally
out of
held
four.
a person in prison and
That's
had to
actually,
release evidence. Like I don't care if it's not true or not. Like
it's
people
not
say
true.
it's not true, and I'm just like, who do I get to trust? Who I got to trust in
Me,
order to get the correct answer?
because the fucker's still on death row, even after he got his
No, 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 no,
new
no, no, no.
evidence.
Because he was. Wait, he's still on death
He's
row.
still on death row.
I
The
thought he got off
DNA,
death row,
nope.
but he was in prison.
No, no, he was on death row.
Dude, hold on. I feel like we had this argument not even last
Well,
time.
not an argument because I'd been saying that too because Tulsi
You're
Gabbard
right.
said it,
You're right.
but
I did look that up.
unfortunately Tulsi was incorrect. Now,
Damn.
to be fair, Kamala Harris did keep people in prison because they wanted wildfire prevention labor, and she did keep people in prison longer than they should have been
Just
for
to
labor for
help.
the for labor for the state of California. So that is something she did do. But the death row case,
Isn't that
I'm
considered crimes against humanity, dude? That's
well,
slavery
well,
in its
there's
finest.
well, there's nuance there. So
She owes them
technically, these
reparations.
well, no, these were people that were up for early release, but it had to be granted by the state.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, she did keep people in prison, but it's not like they served their entire sentence and were kept in. So
Oh,
there's
it's
nuance
like
there.
you did the GED thing, but we're gonna keep you in for 6 more months. You don't
Ex-
get that time cut now, and it's like
Precisely. Yeah.
I don't think you should get time cut for education anyway. Honestly, I
Eh,
know I know they come out, but most of them don't really do much with it.
well, because
I'll be honest, I've known a lot of them. They don't do anything with it,
I mean that you're not wrong.
but they're spending their time doing something productive, so that's a
They
good
are
thing.
bettering themselves, and that in and of itself is, you know, personally, I think they'd be better off being taught a skill or a trade, but that's just me. Like maybe a work release in one of these manufacturing plants we hear so much about.
Now they need
Oh
to
no,
go
we
work on
can't.
the railroad
There you go.
all day long.
Well, no,
Bring that shit
seriously.
back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make
I
people fear prison again. Like I hate to say it, and that's actually what I was going to say about immigrants. Take away, like if a person is literally they hop the border and they come in, they're done. They don't get a chance of an asylum. They're sent back, and they're literally their face is postered everywhere.
See, that would be so if I were negotiating immigration reform overhaul, that would be
I know
something that
that would not go over well.
well, no, that would be
That's like way
something
too.
that would be something that I would entertain as part of the policy, but in exchange for making it so absurdly easy to legally immigrate here that only a fucking idiot would try to do or a criminal would try to do it illegally because there's no point in doing it. So yeah, at that point, if you get caught crossing the border illegally, yeah, you one strike you're out.
I mean, it like that's what I'm saying. Speed. I hate to say like the speed run everything through. Make sure it's like quick, like just like background checks, make them quick and speedy, whatnot. And if nothing comes up on them, sorry, we have
And
no information on you.
yeah,
You're not trustworthy.
and part of that is we already have it, but it needs to be more humane. We do need some temporary housing, but with the goal of it being somebody stays there for maybe a week, not months at a time while they're waiting because background checks can take time. A lot of times they're pretty well instantaneous, but when you're talking internationally, it might take a couple days. So you got
Right.
to have options because you can't just release people into the interior and expect them to come back,
Yeah,
especially when they
exactly.
can't. Yeah. So temporary place doesn't have to be the Ritz Carlton, but it doesn't have to be concrete with a fucking fence. I mean, I think we can find a middle ground here. You know what I mean?
I, I mean, unfortunately, it's probably I would say it's probably cheaper. I mean, that's probably what
I,
they're going for because they're not like a hotel. They're literally just a detainment facility.
I
You know,
I'm aware, but I we can do
It
better.
is a tad inhumane. I get
We
it, but at the
we
same time,
can.
like what did they come from? Is this better
I mean,
for the time being?
in
And
some cases, no.
well, I know I've heard and seen some pretty
In
gross
many
things,
cases,
but
no.
that's also because these guys are overworked. There's no one cleaning the facilities like
Right. That's
we
what I'm
need more
saying.
money down on the border.
Reallocate some funds here because we can do this properly.
I mean,
But
hell, we sent or we left how many billions of dollars worth of equipment in Afghanistan? I think we can afford to send some money to the border, guys.
about 8 billion.
Yeah. Okay. And how much was Trump requesting? It was only like what 400 million for the wall,
I don't remember actually. Was
and
it
that
only
didn't
400
include.
million?
That wasn't just. Yeah, it was. I think it was only 400 million, or maybe 400 billion.
I thought it
I don't
was
know.
25 billion. I can't remember though. I
Then maybe
literally
you're
can't
right.
remember. Can't remember. But I mean, what I'm saying is the United
Hey,
States
there's a down
wastes
payment.
we we just waste so much damn money that if we just balance the fucking budget and stop spending like I was going to say stop spending like we're in Congress, but that is an expression for a reason. But
Listen, Congress does not need $1 million in wood blown glasses at
they
an
do not.
overseas dinner. They can use fucking Dixie cups. I'm sorry.
We've had this conversation before too. They don't even have to use Dixie cups. You can get glass. You can get
Dude,
glass.
Trump is a billionaire and has been a millionaire for most of his life. The dude eats McDonald's.
Oh God,
Y'all
did
ain't
you see
y'all aren't good enough to have million
he
dollar wood
did
bowling
he
glasses.
he did it he did an interview
He's lost
where
weight.
well some he was doing an interview and some the anchor the person interviewing asked him is like, what do you do to keep fit? And he's like, I try to eat good. And she's like, she literally said, and she's like, well, you eat a lot of burgers. He's like, good burgers, the best burgers. I'm like, Jesus fucking
Not McDonald's. They are not the
I'm
best burgers
I'm
by
just like,
far.
okay, I'm like, I'm laughing at this point, but I'm like, this is what people talk about, Donald. This is why people call you a liar because that is
But
bullshit.
did he lie? What'd he say?
Yes, he fucking lied.
I try
That's
to
true.
eat better.
That's true. He did say, I
I
try.
try.
You
That's what I'm
fail.
saying. Like
You fail
people got to
miserably,
pay
but
attention to literally words because they have meaning.
that's he was so full of shit though. But
Oh,
the other
absolutely.
thing, Walls brought up the border bill that Trump allegedly killed again, and this has been read the cliff notes for the bill and you'll see why they killed it because it was fucking stupid.
They added so many like stupid shit in it, and it was like, yeah, we can't pass this.
Well,
Like,
not only
no.
that, the number of illegal crossings in a day that would have had to happen for the president to close the border, which he or she can already do temporarily, but the number went from it was 5,000, and I think the highest in a day we've had was like 2,400. Don't quote me on that, but it's not 5,000's way higher than the highest day we've ever had.
I feel like 12,000. Like I feel like I've heard that number somewhere. Highest border crossing. Oh, in one day. Come on,
In one
dummy.
day, yes.
How much did you say?
The bill was 5,000.
See, I don't know. I'll keep looking.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because you usually get a total for the year, so it's kind
I
of
mean, the
hard to.
Biden administration is on track to reach 10 million in just their term. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
but
That's a lot.
that's one of many things that sucked about this bill because after reading the cliff notes, I was like, oh, fuck you, no, this is um.
Hmm.
And then he was like, Walz is like, well, Trump promised to build a wall, and I'm like, yeah, because the Democrats in Congress killed it.
Yep.
Both, and my final note on it was both parties repeatedly make this an issue that they run on. They won't solve it. They don't want to solve it because each party wants to run on it from a different angle.
If somebody solves a problem, it's no longer something to run on. If they
Exactly.
fix all the problems, who the hell are we going to vote for?
Exactly.
What
Well,
issues would we need?
and I
We would literally become
too
no
damn
government.
good. Yeah, and I blame
That's
the
how you get the world
electorate.
peace.
Well, I blame the electorate for this because honestly, I've seen the American people as a general society, and yeah, if we solved all the problems, we've got the short-term memory of a goldfish in this country. So Trump could literally get a second term and solve every problem, figure out world peace, and they would still not vote for JD Vance. They'd be like, "Well, what has he done? Like, fucking serious?" Like,
Well, and I think that's going to be the difference between him and Pence is
yeah,
because I Vance is very outspoken. Pence, like, I don't know, was Pence like a preacher or something? Or
no, but he was a very religious man.
I know he was very religious. I don't know if he was like a speaker or something. But anyway, like Pence, like he was just, I don't know, dude. Like,
By the
I
way,
didn't trust that
for
guy.
those of you watching, if you disagree with us, put it in the
Yeah,
comments.
absolutely.
We're not shy, and fact check us
And we're
because
not mean about it either.
yeah, the only thing I have right here is the notes that I hand wrote, so I don't have, unless I checked it while I was watching the debate. Um, but yeah, then we moved on to the economy. But before we get into that, after all this politics talk, it might get you hot. But one thing we can all agree on is that music matters. And do you think I'm wrong there? I don't think anybody would. Well, my good friend, Dr. Dr. Peter, no, Dr. Peter Zissa, classical guitarist, music educator, has a nonprofit for music outreach out in Portland, Oregon. And I have just a little video to tell you more about it. And you can check out his podcast, his new podcast, which is premiering tomorrow, called Classica Musica. But this is a little information about his nonprofit.
CDZ Collegia Musica is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It is a kind of school of music, a concert series, and an agency that promotes the musicians, dedicated artists, and educators who we feature as our performers. The goal of the Collegium is to bring community together through music performance. These performances vary in musical style from classical to jazz, and music from different parts of the world, from India to the Middle East, that'd be like Persia, and Japan, and China. The goal is to also educate us to how music functions, not so much as a musical universal language, because there are differences in the way that these languages of music are expressed, but to educate us to be able to be more appreciative, not only of the music, but the culture it represents. And by doing this, it brings community together.
Okay.
So check it out, especially if you're in the Portland, Oregon area. You can check out their concert series. And on his podcast, what he does is he interviews musicians that he has in for their concert series. And they're actually, being not a classical musician myself, the interviews are still extremely interesting. And you get to see a performance and hear a performance from the person he's interviewing. So it's pretty cool.
Didn't you play trumpet?
I started with trumpet and then I moved to tuba. My last year I was in band.
Oh, okay.
So it's really frustrating because I can read music, but I'm not a talented musician by any stretch of the imagination.
I can't read music. I don't know what keys are. Like I've tried to learn this stuff and I have ADHD so bad that
But
like
you're the
literally anything
campfire
I
guy.
get. Yeah, but it's like, man, dude, you got to be able to stay in key. That's the hardest part. Like I don't understand that. Like I don't have control over my voice like all the time.
Well,
Sometimes I'm in tune, sometimes I'm not.
a lot of professional musicians don't. So
Absolutely. And I'm just saying, I've seen some things and I'm just like, it gave me a little bit of hope. And I was like,
I've
dude,
I've
if I
seen
just learned a little bit, I think I might get a little something. So
I've seen some things. But anyway, now we move on to the economy. So to put you back into
I
a bad mood
synced
again.
it. It's damn
uh,
economy.
Again, fucking Walz is pretending like Trump didn't lower the cost of insulin to those on Medicare for $30 to $35 first. And they never fucking mention, and Trump didn't either, but they never mention that that price tag is only for people on Medicare. They never mention that, which is a
And
minority.
wasn't it when Trump literally got it lowered for everybody, wasn't
Nope,
it? Or who
nope,
did he get lowered for?
only for people on Medicare,
And then what did Biden do? Was it for everybody or just only on Medicare?
only on Medicare.
I
But
mean,
see, the thing
technically
is, it's
that's kind of fair because it's a government ran and the privatized ones.
well, you can't set a price control for the private sector. You can only negotiate it for Medicare. That's
Exactly.
I mean, that's it. And
That's
the
all.
trick,
That's where their power lies.
yeah, and the trick they use is they say for seniors. What they mean is seniors on Medicare. That's
Yeah.
what they
And
mean.
it's sad too because I'm actually seeing not my grandparents, but grandparents that I know of that I'm very close with, and literally they are having to literally move around retirement in order to be able to get help.
Hmm.
And it's wrong because the thing is like they're paying like what is it like $600 a day to be in a institution, for
That's
to help
yeah,
older people.
yeah, and
Yeah, it's something like that. I
it's
can't
fucking
remember, but it's
sickening.
like 7 or 8 grand a month.
But this is why, again, I implore you, if you're watching this episode and you haven't watched the fact check we did on the Trump Harris debate, go watch it. But I bring up the fact that I am 100% after doing the math. I'm 100% about privatizing Social Security because it would be 4 times as much money in there.
And on
Four
top of that,
times.
it should literally be optional.
Well, no, because here's the beauty of privatized Social Security. So the whole point of Social Security is that it's the belief that, you know, the average American doesn't have the foresight or discipline to save for their own retirement. So, cool. You know how you get rid of that? You institute Social Security, but you put it into a private fund that's tied to the stock market. So if you treated the Social Security trust like an index fund rather than a trust like they do, it follows the Dow. And I don't remember the numbers offhand, but it's roughly there's like 2.4 trillion, 2 something trillion dollars in the fund now. And if they had privatized it back when George W. Bush was talking about it in 2002, there would be almost, I think, $8.6 trillion.
And that would literally incentivize the lawmakers and whatnot to literally keep GDP up. Because literally,
Precisely.
like just this, Warren Buffett literally said he could fix the deficit problem in 5 minutes. He says anyone who's running for office, if their GDP falls under a certain category, they are not eligible for re-election. And he says, watch how fast the world would change. He said, watch how fast the country would change. And I'm like, this is the problem we have. We have stupid laws in place that
Hang on. Let's see. Let's check. Oh, yeah. We froze there for a moment, but I think we're good now.
All right, let me check my
Yeah, we're good now. YouTube. Something froze somewhere for a second.
dude, that's the beauty about using Zoom and OBS. Like you're recording, so you while it may seem like that to you, it went through just fine online. I just checked.
Perfect. So you were saying something about retirement.
I'm lost.
Is it gone?
I was on a page, but that page is gone
Well,
now.
well, no. And here's the biggest motherfucker about Social Security. So the government does borrow from it, and I love how when you read these financial articles, they're like, "But the government has always paid it back." Yeah, you know how they pay it back? Taxes. So they steal your retirement and then use your taxed income to pay it back. Fuck you.
And then they want
Privatize
to
it.
tax your unrealized gains. They want to tax this and that, and you already pay taxes to literally buy things. You pay taxes to sell things. I'm over it.
So here's
51%, the average
here's
American, 51% of their income goes to the taxes every single year. And that's not
somehow, some way. Yep.
regardless of tax bracket, 51%.
Yep. So here's the thing you could do. Okay, privatize Social Security and make it so, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm cool with sharing the profits to a point with the government. I'm fine with it. Let them make a little bit of money because everybody's making more money anyway. But here's the kicker. When you privatize it, what's up, Stephen? We're getting real boring now. We're talking about Social Security. Um, okay, so let's say I'm president and they got a bill to privatize Social Security. My first caveat is okay, the government does get a kickback in the interest for that, for managing the fund, just like you would a hedge fund manager or a broker. So I'm cool with that. Here's the thing though, until the national debt goes below a certain number, we can figure out what it is. All the interest that the government would be paid goes towards paying off the national debt because god damn it, it's be about time that the government pays some money back instead of the taxpayer.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, honestly, I hate to say it like this. If there should be like a consistent, can you say the word for me?
Consistent or
Consensus. There we go. Okay.
consensus.
I couldn't say that word for some reason. Anyway, so there should be something taken within the federal government and seeing how well and how much someone has in their bank. And I'm not trying to get like invasive, but be like, hey, if you have over this amount, just be honest. It's like this. If so, can you live 1 year without your paycheck? Can you? Yeah, I'm talking to the Congress people in
Oh
Congress.
yeah, yeah.
They forego their pay for a year to cut down on that. It's not gonna make a huge dent,
That would require,
but
unfortunately, that would require a constitutional amendment.
I know it's ridiculous, but like,
I'm
or,
just
or
I'm just
maybe
being
that
real
maybe
with you.
they
I'm just
just they
being
give
real
it
with
up.
you.
What if they give it up willingly after they've been paid? Here you go.
Then hey, I'm all for it because that's an individual making a decision. But I just
It's four
think that
hundred thousand from the president. There you go. There's one. Trump
yep,
already don't mind.
yep.
Sorry. All
Uh,
right, let's get back to it.
so Walls also brought up the bullshit about the proposed Trump tariffs being a 21% sales tax. It's not a fucking sales tax. Like it depends on what the tariff is on. And guess what? It's not a sales tax if you don't buy that shit. And there's a myriad of factors. Went over it in the fact check debate episode. If you want, you can request that I go into it in the comments, or we'll move on, or go watch that video. Um, and then the other note I had is you cannot tax the rich out of the government's current rate of spending. You can't. And Vance
You could
pointed
you
this out.
100%, 100%. You could take 100% of every rich person's wealth in this country and it still would not touch a deficit one
And
bit.
not just their income, their wealth.
Yeah,
That's
that's
just
why I
it
said
because
that.
the national debt is over 33 trillion fucking dollars.
Did you hear Elon Musk is about to hit 1 trillion?
Is he? Good for him.
Yeah. He's essentially going to be the world's first public trillionaire because let's all be honest, there are already trillionaires
There's
and
some
they live in the Middle East, probably in Dubai. There's a
or
family
Saudi.
there.
Saudi's got some
Well,
money.
that too. I was gonna say there are families there that like they don't even need to disclose and they don't even need to worry about money. They've got so much oil to sell.
Yeah, exactly. So Walls also brought up that Wharton School uh study, or not even study. What would you call that? I don't know, saying that, Trump's economic plan would raise the deficit by 5 trillion. And what I keep pointed out in the previous video, and I'll point it out again, that study, by their own admission, does not take into account any of the proposed spending cuts under the Trump administration, under Trump's plan. It doesn't take it assumes the current spending levels of the federal government with inflation. So it's an incomplete study. And unfortunately, you can't get more precise because you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know what's going to happen. But it doesn't give you a complete picture. And that's why I fucking hate these studies and these polls, because it's always an incomplete picture. And the Wharton School did say that the average American taxpayer would be better off under the Trump plan because of what it does for GDP growth. So they always leave that part out. So, like, yes, in a vacuum, it would raise the deficit, but it would be offset by increase in income.
Exactly.
So Vance had a mic drop moment on the Trump record of the economy, comparing that and the Biden Harris administration. I'm just like, see, this is what Trump needs to do.
He doesn't speak enough on his economy. I mean, he does, but like not
He
a
doesn't
lot.
do it effectively, and because
Yes, yes, yes.
he just speaks in generalizations. Whereas Vance is like, see, Vance, way back, way back. Vance is doing what I said that Trump should pick Ron DeSantis for way back as a VP running mate. Because
So now
Trump will,
are you okay with Vance over
I would have
Florida
preferred,
boy?
I would have preferred Ron, but Vance is filling that role. So, because Trump gets out there and says, like, we had the greatest economy. It was the greatest. It was the biggest too. I'm just saying, it was big.
Dude, ever since DeSantis literally ended his campaign, I haven't heard much out of him.
No, because now he's not a target anymore.
That's true.
That's why. That's why you're not hearing anything. Um, Vance blamed Trump for COVID again, and it's just like, Jesus, seriously. Can we
Walls
please put
blamed
this?
Vance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said Vance. Walls
Trump.
blamed Trump for COVID again.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that. I was like, dude, seriously, man. It came
They
from China.
and they said that Trump didn't
The
pay
Kung
taxes.
flu.
I'm sorry, that shit was funny.
Oh, hilarious.
Said Trump didn't pay taxes again. That's been debunked. That's not true. So Vance had another mic drop moment about calling out the experts being wrong, and I'm just like, damn. Here he is talking about how the experts are always wrong. They make these predictions, they make these statements, and they're wrong.
Dude, I will say though, like the way he answered the questions were like tactfully. Like he was very precise, and like it almost seemed like I was like, man, how the hell was he so tuned in? Like he defended himself so well without making anyone look stupid.
He was
Like I'm
also
sorry, not he made them look stupid without being
without being a jerk
like
about it.
villainous,
Yeah,
like
yeah. And the thing is, did you notice how calm he was
he
during? I mean,
made them
he was
make
flat
themselves look
out
stupid.
he was flat out relaxed, man. Whereas
Dude.
Walls seemed like he was having a conniption fit at times.
Dude,
And
did you see Walls nod his head when he was saying something about the Biden-Harris administration and it was like not a good thing and Walls
yeah,
just goes like this in agreement and it's like, what are you doing, you idiot? Are you
did
listening
you
to him?
did you see the moment? I forget when it happened, but I saw it where Vance is looking at Walls, and then Walls said something, and then Vance just looks at the camera like side eye, and I'm just like, oh shit! It's already a meme, by the way. But he just does one of these. He just goes, is like, oh,
When the emo sees you from across the room. I'll
because
hang myself
tonight
right
will
now.
be the night they won't vote for you.
It's like your name is
Um,
going in my suicide note tonight.
so then the final thing I had on the economy is Walls brings up Trump's trade deficit and neglects to mention that Trump's trade deficit is in fact not the largest in history. He is followed by George W. Bush and Joe Biden.
You
Which I
know,
think
I
Vance should
don't
have jumped on, honestly. But I'll be honest, Vance may not know that because I only learned that when I was fact checking for the Trump Kamala debate.
do you even think George Bush Jr. was even running the country? Or do you think he was a shell?
No, he was a shell. I'll be honest though, and granted, we're 20 some odd years removed from when he first entered office. I gotta say, looking back on some of his policy prescriptions, I really wish some of them had come to pass. We're not. Let's forget
Bush?
about yeah, Bush W. Let's
Please
let's
don't make me do stuff.
no, I want to be naked. let's let's forget about No Child Left Behind because that was a goddamn catastrophe. But like privatization of Social Security is probably my favorite one, and I already talked about that. Next we had. I thought this was an odd topic that the moderators brought up qualifications. This felt like this only existed so they could shit on Trump.
I can see that.
And then I loved this one because the moderator said with a straight face that, for a long time, the vice president is often the last voice heard. And I'm like, since fucking when?
Dude,
Seriously, when? The VP is kind of a joke for their lack of doing it. Oh, this is because Kamala Harris is the last one in the room and they want a chance to talk good about her. That's exactly what this was. I'm convinced. Because it's like, literally, since when has the vice president been referred to as the last voice?
dude,
Fucking seriously?
it's so bizarre how they literally just planted her there and it worked.
Oh,
And no one's batting. I mean, everyone's batting an eye, but like nothing's being done about it. I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like, there's no way she would have gotten the votes.
this is why alternative media is important, though, because those are the
Mm.
only people that are calling this out. And it scares me because it's so obvious. And if this had happened in reverse for the Republicans, that's all they would be talking about how, like, if the shoe was literally reversed, they'd be talking about how Trump didn't get any primary votes ever, and yet he's been anointed as the presidential nominee. When that's exactly what they're doing with Harris, but because she's a Democrat, it's okay.
Man, can you imagine if the internet wasn't invented? If it was just like non-existent, like we never invented it and like we had to rely on everything?
Ooh.
Everyone would just be eating the shit they're fed, just like Daryl Dixon. Did you watch The Walking Dead?
I stopped at around season 5.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't know if you got to. Everybody always said, "Oh, when Glenn died," I was like, "It was gonna happen anyway. It was in the
Oh yeah,
comics.
yeah, I was waiting
Like,
for it.
get over it."
In fact, I'm so proud because I actually called that when I watched the
I did like his
cliffhanger.
character though.
Oh, I did, but I said because I knew Glenn was going to die because I know how he dies in the comics, but I saw what they were setting up, and I actually looked at my then wife at the time. I said he's going to kill two of them, and she was like, "No," and I'm like, "Yeah, he's going to kill Glenn and Abraham." And then he killed Abraham
You called
first.
that?
I did. I wish I could have recorded it because I swear to God I did. And then we killed Abraham first. I literally went, "Oh, fuck."
Dude, I laughed so hard when his eye popped out because I mean I wasn't like trying to laugh at the situation, but I was like I knew it was fake, and he's just like I'll find you, and I was like, dude, that's creepy.
Dude, you have a knack for making shit that shouldn't be funny hilarious. Like, Vader.
Dude, all it reminded me of was Wedding Crashers and like, don't ever leave me because I'd find you. That's exactly what I thought when I saw that
Dude,
part. And I was like,
comedy associations you make. Holy shit. Because I'd find you.
this shit was creepy. Like, I'll find you, Maggie.
Oh my god. I did enjoy Suck My Nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you catch the part where Walls is talking about growing up in a small town and he said, and I'm proud of that service, and I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? I
Service in a small town? Was he
he
the
was
town bicycle?
no, I'm sure he no, he was town motorcycle. Everybody got a ride and he did all the
And
work.
if my grandmother had wheels, she'd have been a bike. Have you seen that? Okay, anyway, go ahead.
But I know what he was going for because he's got a rehearsed bit about like his being a teacher and his military service, and he says, and I'm proud of that. But then he laps it into the whole like growing up in a small town bit, and I'm just like, think before you speak, maybe. But so Walls was for, and this was good on the moderators for keeping him on the. He was forced to admit that he misspoke about being at the Tiananmen Square massacre when it happened, which I
Yeah,
didn't.
I misspoke about being at a massacre. I was there, but then I wasn't.
I mean, if I were to give him the benefit of the doubt, he was there not when it happened, but in or around the time frame, like within a year. But that would kind of be the equivalent of being like, well, I was there at January 6th when you were there in March, you know?
Yeah. It's
It's
like
like
I was there in
it was
March.
around that time, but
Oh shit, no, the federal government, they hear you were there. It doesn't matter when you were there. They're coming to arrest you. Did you know there's still people in holding and they haven't like talked to their people, whatnot, and like everyone's like trying to get them out and they haven't even seen a judge or anything?
and you can thank the Patriot Act for that.
Like what the fuck? They are citizens.
No, it doesn't
Like
matter. It doesn't matter because they're charged with terrorism. That's the Patriot Act, and that's
yeah,
why it's
and
bullshit.
it's like so literally we're up to the what is terrorism?
It
Like
doesn't
is that
matter
Matt
because it's
Walsh's
so
next
it's
movie?
Am I a terrorist? Shit.
Shut hey, Matt,
Matt. Matt.
you you use this. Remember, these two,
I don't even like you and you can take it.
dude, just pay off our houses. That's it.
Fair enough. I did have a note though, and I don't remember why I wrote this, but I did. Vance can admit he was wrong. Oh, I think this is when he was asked why he supports Trump now when he spoke out. No, he said he was wrong. Oh, I misread I said Vance can admit he was wrong. Okay, that makes sense now. Because he said he was wrong about Donald Trump. And I'm like, you know what? Fair enough, because I was too.
Yeah, because he said apparently they were talking about that. They was like, "You're a supposed never Trumper," and apparently like he said that and whatnot. And I was like, I didn't know that about him, but I was like, dude, I honestly think that anybody would say anything to get on the other side of Trump just because it's only going to help them.
Yeah.
Like for the legacy media, that's
Yeah.
it, not voters.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That was it for the economy section, and that was a real, that was real
Ow.
feud. That was a real feud, shall we say. But you know what else is a real feud? Pro wrestling. And if you like pro wrestling, check this out.
It's playing.
No, it's the wrong video. So that was supposed to be the commercial for Down the Middle, but guess who didn't add it to the rotation? This guy. If
Oops.
you enjoy pro wrestling, every other Thursday we talk all things pro wrestling. Tune in live on YouTube, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Apologize, but that's the intro. So like the Harris campaign
I
over
got
here.
you for 3 minutes of playtime.
3 minutes of play. Oh, and actually you should check out
Yes.
Ken's Destroy the Barbie movie, one of our past episodes. It's quite funny. Then
Randy Savage makes a cameo.
he comes in and teaches Kens and Barbies all about gender equality.
He's also quite the singer. Ah,
Wait, was that was an outtake, wasn't it?
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, that was in the
That was
gag
in
reel.
the.
You can't see it in the gag reel though. So then
Please don't be scared, little lady.
all souls were relieved.
That's the greatest word mishap
It's
ever.
it's one of your best.
American Pie.
That's up there too. I will say this: it happens somewhat often with you, but they're always gems. There's never been a not funny one ever. Then we came. They spent a lot of time on abortion, and I mean, I guess to a point, I get it because it's a big issue in this election. But I find it interesting because the Trump Vance ticket has basically come out and said we're not into this in a federal sense. The Supreme Court kicked it back to the states, but the Democrats keep talking about it, so they keep having
I
to
mean,
defend
that's
it.
a fair answer, but then was it the moderator or what was it Walz who said, "Well, what if somebody was going across state?" Or no, that they were talking about. I think
They
it
were
was
talking
Walz.
about a
He was talking
case.
about a girl who went across state lines, and I was like, and she
Yeah.
died on the way, and I don't know anything about
No, so
her.
that I feel bad because I forget her name. But I looked up the case they were talking about. So Walls has a point with her case, but it's missing a lot of context. So here's what happened.
That's what I wanted to know so that
So
I could get
she
the proper.
so she and I apologize, I don't remember her name, but she lived in Georgia. She got pregnant. She crossed state lines to get abortion pills in North Carolina. She went back home, took them, and the complete fetal, they say fetal tissue. I don't know how far along she was, but presumably the dead fetus did not expel completely from her body like it's
And she
supposed
died of
to.
sepsis.
Right, but the reason she and this is a very, very, very important distinction here. I'm not saying she certainly didn't
That's
deserve
a
it.
huge
Well,
boost in
no.
context.
Well, and here's the other part of it. The doctors refused to treat her because they were afraid that they would run afoul of the abortion laws. However, Georgia's abortion laws do have an exception when the life of the mother is at risk.
So
It
did
was
it
also
state what was the problem wrong with the baby or the mother that was the risk?
well, okay, so first of all, it was not a viable fetus because it was dead. She had taken the abortion pill.
No, I'm talking before because you said that she wasn't able to get care before she went to buy the pills, correct?
Correct, because it wasn't the mother's life wasn't at risk.
Okay, so that's
But
so
then the
it was a
mother,
self it was a selfish abortion. I just those are not the words I want to use, but that's the only ones that are coming to mind right now. It was
it
a
was an
selfish
elective it
abortion.
was an elective abortion
An elective.
procedure.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Okay, so that's all I needed to say on that
That's the
because
distinction. However,
she killed herself
now I guess I haven't read
unwittingly.
I haven't read the statute in Georgia, but I guess they're making the case that it's too vaguely worded. But I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not a lawyer or a doctor, but I don't know how you could fuck that up by saying that because they described it as fetal tissue, which tells me that it's a dead fetus. That's what it's telling me. And
Yeah,
because it was rotting in her uterus, it was
so
giving her
sad.
sepsis. I know, but the thing is, why did they deny her treatment? The doctors denied her treatment. They weren't told they couldn't. They said they wouldn't because they didn't want to run afoul of the abortion. So, and
I mean, all she really had to do was literally just say she took the pills
I think
and
she
go
did.
back and go to a hospital immediately and just be like, my baby's dead. It needs to come out of me, and they just literally do the
Well,
thing and see if the hit.
well,
That's not an
that's
abortion. That's a
that's
procedure.
that's allegedly what she did. And again, I wasn't there. I don't know, but it seems to me, and if this
So
is
then, how did
true,
she die if they got removed?
it
I'm
didn't get
sorry.
removed. They refused to remove it because they were afraid of running afoul of the abortion ban in Georgia. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying the doctors did this, but wouldn't this be a motherfucker? What if the doctors did that knowing full well that that could be a case they could throw out and say, look at what happened here. And if we'd only been able to give her care sooner.
Hair.
Well, I mean, at that point it is care because
Yeah, I know. She just couldn't handle having a kid at that time. I get it. It's not an easy thing to do. People forget this all the time. It's not easy to have kids, but it's not okay for you to kill them
Well, and
for no good
so
reason.
so,
For no
so
good
here's
reason. You know,
so
if they
here's
eat your cookies or something, I get it.
waste them. But so here's the thing that's kind of annoying me, and it is I want to preface this because this is not necessarily my position. I'm just seeing a logical inconsistency with the pro-life crowd based on what they're not everyone, but well, no, kind of everyone. Because here's the thing. I'll let you help me with this, and maybe I'm wrong. What's the definition of a pro-lifer?
Well, I mean, do you want the technical one or the one that everybody uses?
I want the correct one.
Okay, the correct pro-life stance is all life matters, no matter what happened, no
Okay.
matter what they've done, nothing like that. Like that's for the most part, I kind of stand that pro-life, but like then something crazy happens and it's just like no, yeah, blah, blah.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
like
So you're helping me
I have my
walk down this path.
flare-ups.
You're helping me walk down this path. Okay. Because I agree with you in a
I'm holding
literal
the flashlight for you.
in a
You keep working on the car, Dad.
in a in a literal definitional sense, a pro-lifer believes that under no circumstances is an abortion okay, or is the killing of a human life okay.
Mhm.
Certainly, in as far as the abortion is concerned, no abortion is okay under a literal pro-life stance. Now, then we get into murky territory of things like rape, things like incest, things like those are the big ones.
Well,
Life of the mother, that kind of stuff.
do you know where the safest place for a rapist baby is? In the womb of a Christian. I hate to
I
say it
mean, I
like
mean, I
this
mean
because guess what? They're not going to be killed. And it's like, why punish the baby for the sins of the father?
but there's here's my point. And I'm not arguing the pro-life position. I'm simply taking it to its logical conclusion
Okay, okay, I got you.
if you're taking it literally. So, based on their literal definition, if you identify as pro-life, then your stance logically should be that no abortion is ever okay, ever, under any circumstances, because the baby in question is not guilty.
Only abortion that matters, like, and I hate to even say it like this, is if the mother's life is in absolute danger, in which that only happens within the first or second trimester. Like there are
Well,
rare
that's
occurrences in the third, but it's so rare. So
yeah.
I mean, like it sucks, but
Okay. So
it's
let's
because the baby is going to die or is already dead that it would affect the mother's life. So it's
okay.
like the
Okay.
baby's already going to die.
So
Sorry,
let's again. We're gonna
it's a
do a
lot to
thought.
unpack.
We're gonna no. We're gonna do a thought experiment here. I mean, I'm not trying to defeat you. We're having a Socratic dialogue.
No, go for it.
So you just asserted that if the mother's life is in danger, it's okay to kill the baby. I want to make sure
Like I
that's what
said,
I'm understanding.
if the baby is not viable and they do not have, because the thing is, like an emergency C-section can remove the baby anyway. So
Okay.
why not just have an emergency C-section to remove the baby? But the thing is, like, if they remove the baby and like there's some kind of, I don't know, like I don't know enough about, illnesses, whatnot. Like I know a little bit.
Okay.
Like we had a friend.
So you're actually arguing from the pro. So you're actually arguing the pro-life stance. Do me a favor though, and help me walk down this path. So let's say, for the sake of the dialogue, let's say that yes, it's okay to terminate a pregnancy if the mother's life is at risk.
Well, she has the option, whether it
Okay,
be her
okay, but
life
we're
or her
talking
baby's
about it.
life.
Yeah, we're talking about an absolute. So just do me a favor to help me walk down this path to illustrate my point. Say yes, that's okay. I know you don't actually believe that, but just humor me.
That what's okay.
That if a life of the mother is in danger, it is okay to terminate a fetus, even if it's a sure thing that fetus will not die necessarily.
No.
Just do me a favor.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
if you have that
sorry.
position, just okay, just okay. So taking that logically, okay. So
It's
what
hard for me
makes
to lie.
I know, but you'll see why I'm going this way here in a second.
Yeah, go for it.
So if that stands to reason, okay, then is it okay to kill a child if that child's existence puts the life of the mother at risk?
Well, no.
Okay, so
So
what's the
no, hey,
difference?
listen, there's no difference, and I like your thinking
That's
because
what
that
I'm
was
saying.
you literally just helped me change my mind again.
I'm taking the pro-life stance to its logical Logical
But the
conclusion.
thing is, if there's something wrong with the baby and the mother tries to, well, that's a thing. Like if they say the mother tries to have it naturally, it
Hmm.
could kill the baby. But you
Well, then,
froze
then,
and you
then
look like
that's
such a weirdo.
well, that's what a cesarean section is for.
Dude, you froze like this on me. Like I was like, damn, he's mad. But no, yeah. So the thing is, like, if you can have a cesarean section to remove the baby to potentially get the baby out of the danger, so that you can fix the mom. Like, I mean, you kind of don't have an option. If the mom's bleeding out and they're trying to save the baby, that's a little different. I don't know. Like that's a
So,
hard
but
one, you know.
I'm going down a road, and it's a lengthy road, but it'll make sense.
Lonely roads.
So, okay, so we've taken care of life and the mother inconsistency. So now we have the rape and incest portion. Okay. Same logic though. Rape and incest, fucking awful. I mean, rapists should be fucking castrated or killed. I agree with Ben Shapiro on that one. Or at the very least, be made to pay restitution for the remainder of their lives.
See, I know society, and the thing is, there will always be the underbelly. So, and they will be the people, unfortunately, that a lot of us weaklings who can't stomach what needs to be done happens. And honestly, those people, just send them to regular prison, and things will happen naturally. No
Some
one
some
knows about it. It's done. The
somebody
underbelly
will
of society is necessary.
take care of it. But my point still stands. Again, is
I'll
it
confuse people on my points.
I know. So I'm trying to walk through this because I'll be honest, I don't know where I stand on the legality of abortion. Personally, I don't think it's a good thing. I would never personally advocate for it in my life, but I'm also never gonna rape somebody or anything like that. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, so personally I'm anti-abortion for me and mine. However, I'm still up in the air as far as where the state falls on it because, and that's why I'm trying to really understand this pro life point. So, what I keep seeing from the pro life crowd is that they're actually okay. They'll tolerate the killing of the unborn only up to a certain point, though.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like
It's
honestly,
it's it's
like
it's logically inconclusive, and then you add in the see. Okay, so all the pro-choice people, like, calm down. I'm the circle's coming around now. And then you have what I refer to as God's abortion. So you have natural miscarriages, you have uh, stillborn, you have all these things that can naturally occur. So it's a real gray fucking area.
so according to religion, if those babies, if essentially a soul has not been created for them or whatnot, like it's like, so what happened to those babies? And like I'm kind of there with you.
It depends on who you ask, honestly. But
Yeah, it's confusing because we have no answers. We have
see,
to literally just
the thing is,
guess.
it would be a much easier question to answer if things like natural miscarriages didn't exist. It'd be much
Hmm.
easier to answer, but they do.
But at the same time, though, you have to look at the mother for these miscarriages because
No,
of
sure.
where they're at, what they take, how they
But
treat their bodies. Like
it
if you're not
can
treating your body well,
it can happen naturally though. It is a thing that can happen.
honestly,
Oh,
does
don't
anything
go that.
naturally happen?
Yes,
Does
it does.
anything naturally happen?
Well, no, but
Dude,
it could be something
location,
outside.
location, location,
It could be
location.
something outside of her control.
Environmental.
Yeah, but it's still outside of her control.
She's still with, I know, but yeah, I know, I get that, I get that, and
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is, like, everyone tries to blame a creator or God, what have you, whatever you believe in, but why are you blaming something else when, if we didn't have any of these plastics, and I hate to like be all eco guy, but
we're going
like,
down a rabbit hole.
oh yeah, just
Different
just
rabbit
follow.
hole.
But like, if we didn't have all these things poisonous and whatnot, and people were for the most part healthy and knew how to clean themselves, unlike in the medieval times when the Black Plague was running rampant and all people needed to do was just wash their ass.
Well, it's not quite
I'm just
that
saying,
simple,
like,
but
some hand sanitizer would have helped them out back in the day. If somebody in time, time travel goes back and they're just like, here, this is hand sanitizer. This will solve your entire problem. Oh, and by the way, get cats.
it's like it smells funny. Actually, you know what fun wow, this is a big divergence. You know part of the reason why cats are associated with witches so heavily?
Is it because they kill?
It's appropriate
Go
because we're
for
getting
it.
into Halloween. So this is one of many reasons, right? But one of the big things was there were it was just a population coincidence that there were a lot of unmarried women that had cats around. Now, of course, other families had cats, but there was just a weird coincidence of the population where a lot of older women
Oh,
had cats
I know
around.
exactly the story. Keep
They
going.
had cats around, and during the time of the
Mhm.
Black Plague, what do cats kill? They kill mice, and the mice and the rats were the ones that were carrying most of the fleas that would end up infecting people. So you had these single women that happened to have cats, and they weren't getting sick because they weren't being bitten by the fleas.
Ah, the cat lady has the last laugh.
Hmm.
Well, and that's that. If
Take
anyone
that,
caught earlier,
JD.
my joke. Yeah, I was gonna say my joke earlier. I said get a cat.
Cats are great.
But
Cats are
anyway,
pretty fucking awesome. But yeah, so
let's get
anyway,
back.
much like the debate, we've spent a lot of time on abortion. So I still want to do an episode where we don't necessarily debate abortion, but I want to talk about it because I want to walk through these really because I'm still trying to figure it out for myself. I truly am.
Dude, I feel
But
guilty smashing bugs.
I mean, fair enough, right? But that's why I actually kind of tend to agree with the picking it back to the states because at this
Hmm.
point I just don't know, right? And who am I to fucking tell somebody in
I
the
mean,
absence of an
I believe it's wrong, but the thing is, I can't convince you of that. You have to. I can give you all the points you want. You have to convince yourself.
well, and the problem is we can't have a civil discussion in our society about it because everybody gets so
Right.
militant about it. But anyway, we're gonna. Um, and then there was the
Honestly, dude.
talk.
Yeah,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I
No,
was
no,
gonna
go ahead.
divert. So if you got something else, go
I
for it.
was too. So don't. I don't want to get down on
Okay.
this road. So
Um, so
we'll have a
the
whole podcast on it.
right, the Wisconsin abortion bill was brought up, and Walz was like, "That's not what it says." When Vance said there were no restrictions in it, it's like, no, actually, Tim, that is what it says. Because if you actually go to abortionfinder.com, Wisconsin, or I'm sorry, Minnesota, not Wisconsin, Minnesota is listed as one of the states with no restrictions on abortion, including duration of pregnancy. And that's what the fucking bill says. And Walsh said again, he's like, we restored Roe versus Wade. No, you didn't. You have no restrictions there. Roe versus Wade had restrictions.
Yeah, what was Roe versus Wade, like 16 weeks or 24 or 22?
I can't fucking remember now because I got called out for this and I was wrong. I just don't remember what I said.
It's
Um,
like I don't understand how you can get like 3 4 months down the line and not know something's up. I'm like, dude, the first month that you haven't got your period, I think something's up. Like because
I'd be
if it's not
freaking out.
health, exactly. If it's not health related, like because the thing is, you know, a lot of women, you know, endometriosis and PCOS and whatnot, you know, they have irregular periods and they have painful periods and whatnot, and you know, sex can be painful and whatnot. So it's like,
Here's the
dude,
thing, though, and I will, and I'm not trying to shush you here, but I am trying to shush myself, I guess. The thing of it is, I much like the reason I don't talk about military service when it comes to Tim Walz or anyone for that matter. I didn't serve in the military. I'm not a woman. I'm not going to comment on when you should know your. Now, granted, you have children, so you have a more of a leg to stand on than I do. But I'm not a woman. I don't know, and nor will I ever know what it's like to be pregnant because guess what? I have a dick. Um, I'll never know what it's like to be pregnant, no matter what I
have you
call
ever been
myself.
really constipated?
Oh, this must be like six Keurigs.
Except it bounces around in there and kicks. That's like when you eat
Uh,
Thai food.
actually, I only ate Thai food once and I didn't care for it.
I just remember watching Tim the Toolman Taylor, you know, talking about Thai food. What is his gas and stomach? Dude, that dude had stomach problems. I was like, that dude was dead. If they had a new show, he'd be in the, yeah, he's dead. Not really.
Um,
Anyway,
I will say this once and for all.
sorry, I'm
I
rambling.
looked because I downloaded Project 2025. I stupidly thought I was going to read it. That ain't happening. But what I did remember is that there's this nifty little tool called Find. So you can search for words in it. There is no pregnancy registration in Project 2025. And it doesn't matter because Trump is not instituting that as his policy. He and Vance have both said it repeatedly. It's
How many
not a
times
thing.
how many times does someone have to say, no, I don't stand with any of that? Like, I mean, I may stand with a few things, but like, that's not mine. I
It's
don't follow
not. It's
that.
not the Trump administration's policy. It's just
It's
not.
like, and they just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. That's what do they call that? Pushing the lie.
And I need to fact check this, but I thought I had read. Well, no, I read, but I need to fact check it. That one of the directors of Project 2025 just endorsed Kamala Harris. I don't know if that's true, but
I
I
mean,
read it.
so did Russia. So did,
So did Iran. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, dude, these things are hurting my ears.
No, I get it. What else do we got? Because I really don't want to stay on abortion. And now he said something. He said something about maternal mortality skyrocketing in Texas. It hasn't. I've seen nothing to indicate that it has. That's just patently not true. And if it is true, prove me wrong. But skyrocket, I don't know about that because
Skyrocketed
I
flight.
don't I don't see how abortion care prevents maternal mortality. I don't understand because that just doesn't compute for me. And again, if I'm wrong, put it in the comments, but source it so I can look up your source. Um, and then JD wasn't letting this bone go, and I agree with him about the Minnesota law. So my question, if I were Vance, would have been: so what happens? What happens in Minnesota if a baby does survive an abortion, Tim? What happens? Tell
They
me.
are able to kill them.
I
Literally
mean,
says it.
that's I don't know that it literally says it, but it kind of indicates it. Like I said, I haven't read the actual law, but if I'm
Well, they
sorry,
left
but
it vague on purpose.
that's precisely it, right? And apparently, there was a version that was brought to him before that, and he vetoed it when it called for. It said specifically that an infant that survived an abortion would have to be cared for.
Yeah, because rightfully so. Like they earn their right to life. Oh wait, they should have already had it, but
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. So let's move on
Right
to.
to liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yep.
These things are fucking killing my ears. I'm sorry.
You're good. So we move on from abortions to the happy topic of guns. Um,
Woo!
So I gotta fact check Walz here. He said it was the top cause of death for children and teens, but according to the CDC, and I hate the fact that I had to look this up, and it honestly pissed me off. So according to the CDC, wait a minute, where the fuck is? Oh, don't tell me I deleted it like a moron. Oh no, I did
Dumbass.
not. Nope, I got it. Top three causes of death by age group according to the CDC. 0 to 1, developmental and genetic conditions are number one. Conditions due to premature birth and accidents. Ages 1 to 4, accidents. Developmental and genetic conditions that were present at birth or homicide. 5 to 9, and it doesn't specify homicide by gun, I would just like to point out. Ages 5 to 9, accidents, cancer, developmental and genetic conditions. 10 to 14-year olds, accidents, suicide, and cancer. So you could maybe make the case for homicides being gun related, but it doesn't say gun related. And I'm sorry, I have a hard time believing that 1 to 4-year-olds experience a ton of gun violence.
You'd be surprised.
Well, I mean,
Location, location, location.
fair enough, but that doesn't necessarily point to just gun violence. Again, like I said,
No.
so you're wrong, Tim. I'm sorry, you just wrong. But I do agree that there should be more legitimate research done on gun violence, but not just blaming the guns. Again, I'm a Second Amendment guy, but I mean, we need facts here. Just plain and simple, right? Right?
Depends on what
I
we're
don't
talking
know.
about.
I don't know about that.
They had beautiful dogs. And I
Abu.
said, why are you crying?
Oh god. But yeah, I didn't have much to say on guns because this was all the same old shit from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although it was
Honestly,
funny.
there shouldn't be any restrictions.
No, and
Just
I want
kidding.
a fucking
Yes, there
tank.
should.
But did you
Yes.
did you did you catch when Walls and he did accidentally say this, he didn't mean this, but he accidentally said that he had become friends with school shooters. He meant the families. He meant the families. He meant the victims, but he literally said, and I've
No,
become friends with
school
school
shooties.
shooters. Yeah,
He
exactly.
meant to say school
He
shooties,
meant to
and
say
he's just
school
like, "Oh, that
shooties.
sounds bad. It's just better for me to say shooters instead of shooties. Shooties nuts."
Yeah, we're almost done because honestly, after abortion, the debate kind of fizzled and there wasn't much of
Yeah.
substance. Both candidates agreed that the government should spend money to build more housing, and I'm just like,
No.
what happened to small government? Like, what is funny is I thought that, and I haven't finished it, but I listened to Ben Shapiro today, and he literally said the same thing. I'm like, that's so funny because I had the exact same thought. It's like, why is a Republican not arguing for free market?
Government doesn't need. They need to get their hands out of everything
Exactly.
anyway.
They need to get out the way.
Because
Um,
they're like, oh, we see this over here. Let's start a new program. Oh, we can put somebody in that position for $150,000 a year. Oh,
150. That's
oh.
cheap. That's cheap.
Well, I'm
What?
sorry. I'm being nice.
I had to change my notes again though because it was funny. I wrote down there will be no immediate relief, and then JD Vance immediately after I finished writing that sentence brought up energy, and I went, never mind. Lower energy would get prices low now. I'm like shit,
Mhm.
JD,
Because
JD,
energy goes down like price wise, everything
everything
follows.
goes
It's
down.
Bitcoin. It's like Bitcoin for the entire market. When Bitcoin goes up or down, everything follows it.
Well,
Literally.
specifically fuel, because
Hmm.
when
Yeah, because everything
but
gets
energy,
cheaper.
even in production sides of things, so like you have to power the factory, you have to power the tools, you have to drive the cars, you have to drive the trucks, you have to do all this shit, you have to run the machinery. So yes, lower
And
energy bills, lower
and
prices
guess what?
across the board.
If companies have more money to invest in solar, they might end up actually doing it because the thing is that they might see it as advantageous over time because eventually they can go to zero, not
Well,
emissions. I'm sorry, like I'm sorry that there are plenty of fucking plants and trees and whatnot for the amount of carbon that we release. They fucking it's taken care of anyway.
but
So
here's the thing.
why can't they just go ahead?
The thing that the left has done is they skip the transition period. It's like my car is a prime example. So I bought an EV, but it's got a gas generator in it.
Fucking
my
awesome.
my emissions are so much lower than a gas car. I mean, it's insane because the bulk of the driving I do is purely on the battery. The gas tank is, I
Hmm.
mean, the gas tank is there to power the generator just to get you home when you run out of battery power. And the thing about things like solar is, and geothermal for your HVAC system too, when you're building a house, it's way cheaper to implement it as you're building as opposed to retrofitting an existing house. So instead of trying to retrofit everything, if they had taken it as a step forward for new construction that incentivizes the person building the house to do so financially, guess what happens? That's a free market solution.
I mean, you don't go back to 60s and 70s cars and try and add cruise control and ABS and all these other things that are on all the newer cars that we love and cherish because they keep our asses safe because we're too stupid to hit the brakes on time.
Wouldn't be cost effective to do so. Even if you could, it wouldn't be cost
Exactly.
effective.
No. So the thing is, you have to focus on the future, quit living in the past.
And let the past fizzle out. Because honestly, if they had taken that approach, like if these plug-in EV, I'm sorry, these there's technical term, but I'm going to call it a plug-in hybrid for the sake of simplicity, even though it's not technically a hybrid, but yeah, it's whatever. Um, if that had been the bridge, there would be more EVs on the road right now because a lot of people's biggest hesitation with a purely electric vehicle is the range. Well, guess what? If you got a gas generator, it's not an issue anymore. And my gas mileage when I'm running purely on gas is still like 50 to 60 miles per gallon.
It's crazy.
It's an 8-gallon tank. I fill it up for about $20 in today, $24 in today's gas mileage from an empty tank, and I get 330 miles out of it. If I'm running on pure gas.
You get 330 on just gas?
Hmm.
Holy shit. So then what do you get on a full tank EV charge and gas?
That would be roughly
Like five five
not
sixty.
quite because at a full charge I get about 60 miles. and then so
Oh,
probably
okay.
just shy of 400.
Yeah, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I love that car. Um, so then we move to healthcare, which this is Vance again made a good point, and he made a free market solution here. Price transparency. That's what we need. We need price transparency. I need to know how much it is to get an MRI here versus here. Because guess
Here.
what? Here. Because guess what? If you know how much an MRI costs at Dr. A and Dr. B does the MRI for less, more people are going to go to Dr. B and Dr. A will have to drop their prices or go out of business. Which is true. And then honestly, I don't even want to go into the other categories because they were so just bad. Although I did say, it's funny because I realize now Ben said this too. I disagree with calling the childcare issue a crisis because Walz said there was a childcare crisis. I'm
No.
like, no, there's a wage and family crisis. There's not a child. There's a childcare problem for sure.
Well, no, the biggest problem is that these mothers and fathers have to continue to go to work and they have to put their kids in childcare more, and it costs just as much as they're making pretty much.
Because
So now
they're
they
so
have to, they're broke because of the economy. So fix the economy, childcare costs
yes,
will follow, and then guess what? People won't have to work as much. They can take care of their families, and
yes,
mom can stay home or dad can stay home.
because there is a wage and extended family crisis. Because you know where you don't hear about childcare as an issue? Like this is gonna sound a little bit racist, but it's
And
true.
big families. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I already know where you're going.
You don't hear about it. You know why? Because the extended family helps, and the extended family is
That's the
big.
way it used to be. They
That's the way it
broke
should
up
be.
they broke up most of our families, dude, and like no one just saw it. Like they literally gave you all the tools to literally just stay away from your family and keep it separated, and it
Yeah,
just weakens
exactly.
us.
But what is really funny is I actually know it's a very small home builder. They only build like 3 houses a year, but they build a specific type of tri-level house where it's basically you can have it as a triplex or you can have it as a 3 generation or 2 to 3 generations of a family living in one house but separated areas. So there's privacy, but you're all in the same house. It's actually quite revolutionary. And the thing is, it's like a $300,000 house in today's economy, but 3 families live in there.
Yeah, dude, like everybody's splitting the mortgage.
And you know who's buying them up? They don't have trouble selling houses. They don't have any available now. I actually spoke with them about 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, because honestly, like even like with a couple of your buddies,
That's what I'm saying. It's just
like,
three
hey man,
dudes.
you want to go in on you want to go in on one of these houses, blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. It's hella cheaper than rent. Hell, even if
Well, right
one,
now,
even well, yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. Even if one guy has the mortgage, just get 2 of your buddies to pay a third of the mortgages in rent, and everybody's happy because they're paying lower than market value rent would be, and your mortgage is cut into a third as far as what's coming out of your pocket directly.
hell, honestly, you could probably get them to just pay most of it
I
because
mean,
they'd
you
probably
you
be
probably
grateful.
you probably could, yeah,
They get a
split it now.
badass house for like way cheap, and then they can live there as long as they want.
I mean, here's the thing. Let's say which I don't think at 300, I don't think you'd be able to get a mortgage today if your credit was that bad. But let's say that your mortgage payment was
On 275 at 3%, it would be about
well, it wouldn't be 3% though.
six. Well, I know it'd be about 1,600, but with 7%, it'd be about 2,300
Okay, so
on
no, that's enough.
275. So honestly, it'd probably be about close to 2,700.
So split three raise, that's $900. That's cheaper than rent in
Hmm.
most, and that's cheaper than a one-bedroom apartment. And I remind you, it's hard to describe because you haven't seen this. Like it's a full house on each level. Each level has a kitchen. It depends on the layout they go, but I think each level is a kitchen, 2 bed, 2 bath.
Man, the only problems I would have with that is like, what do they put in between for
Oh,
sound purposes? Because
it's
I don't want to
good.
hear do 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 do.
It's pretty good. They put good materials in there. But again, that comes down to the finishes you put in, right? Which is something that
True.
you can somewhat control. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'd love to buy one. I really kind of want to buy one eventually, but I also want to live on land where I'm not around other people. So fuck, you know. And then they
Put a
had
camper
this
on my land.
fucking A, dude. I'm tempted. I'm over other people, dude. The older I get, the more I'm like, I just want to not interact with people today.
Seriously, we'll just build a little tiny home in the corner of the property,
Dude, I'm
and then
so,
a studio next to it.
man, I'm so tempted. Oh, and then the other thing I'd put down is like, because they're talking about how they need to have like mandated maternity leave, and the only note I have is like the job didn't get her pregnant. Like, you know what that's going to do if
I
you if
never
you
understood. I've never understood that one.
if
Like,
you but
I don't.
here's the thing that's going to happen, and nobody wants to say this, but it's fucking true. If you mandate maternity leave, guess who they're going to stop hiring?
Women.
Well, even not just women, because maternity leave implies paternity leave too. They're going to stop hiring people that are married, people that are older. They're going to start hiring younger kids fresh out of college that are less likely to have a family. And there's going to be some level of discrimination because they're going to want to ditch out. If they can at all avoid paying that maternity, paternity leave, they will. They absolutely will. So that's the thing that's going to happen. Because the thing is, if you're halfway decent at if you're in a good, skilled field, fuck yeah, they'll give you maternity leave because they don't want you to go somewhere else. I mean, that's the dirty little secret that nobody ever talks about is the fact that if your job wants to not in the United States today, if your job wants to deny you good pay and benefits, it's one of two things. One, that business is not run properly and cannot afford to give anyone those things, or you are not skilled and you are fucking expendable.
Everyone.
If you're good at your job in a skilled field, you have the power. And then they went into
Absolutely.
this, yeah, and then they went into this weird state of democracy thing. And I'm just like, again, this is another segment that seems tailor made to shit on Donald Trump. But even
Yeah,
JD turned this one around too, because he brought up the censorship. And I'm like, God damn, this guy is a fucking ninja at debating.
I was impressed. He's good.
I'm laughing though that people are saying that Tim Walz won the debate, and I'm just like, the fuck were you watching? Because I'll even concede, I could see how, depending on your point of view, you could have made the case that Kamala maybe won their exchange. I don't agree with that necessarily, although she did exceed expectations, so I guess that's kind of a win. But this debate, hands down, Vance was in control the entire fucking time, which is impressive considering it was 3-on-1. Because the
Yeah.
moderators took Tim Walz to task once.
And then they kept pushing on Vance, like pushing and pushing and pushing, and then literally debating with him and then fact checking him, something they weren't supposed to do. It's like, man, you guys are just. I don't know why he agreed to ABC or was it NBC?
Because you know what? I think it was CBS actually.
He exposed them really. If
He
you want to get
wasn't
down to
scared.
it,
He wasn't
they
scared.
literally agreed to rules and then broke them.
Hmm.
What side does that the most? Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, Vance wasn't scared. He said, "Yeah, I'll come on your fucking stupid network that's against me openly, and I'll still win."
He doesn't even need to debate. I assume he'll be VP.
Yeah, I kind of agree because
I think he's fine, and I think Trump's got this in the bag because I think enough of the American citizens have seen enough of the bullshit finally, and I think they're starting to see through it because like if you scroll through TikTok, dude,
that's just it.
like
And see, here's the thing. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's not just TikTok; it's all of my social media. Now, here's the thing. Like, I know that it curates based on what I watch, but I purposely follow left pages too to kind of counteract that. And the sentiment I'm seeing, even in comment sections, there are comments in some of the stuff that the Biden Harris HQ puts out, and people are saying like Trump 2024 or you're a liar, or not all of them, but It exists. And here's the other thing, too. We've seen this before. This is the same thing that happened with Hillary Clinton when she was running in 2016. Oh, yeah, she's beating Trump. She's beating Trump. He flipped states that had her as the clear victor in polling data. And here's the other thing I like to remind everybody else. Even in 2020, Trump lost that election in terms of the voter numbers. He still outperformed the poll numbers. So he lost, but he lost by a smaller margin than the poll said. So
Well, and
in
then Georgia came out and apologized, and then they said, "Did you see that?
mm-mm.
Fulton County."
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know the exact specifics of it because I literally just ran across it like literally last night. But apparently Fulton County was apologizing to Trump or something like that, and it was something about the election. So
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't
Oh,
know.
that might be because his case is in Fulton County too. That might have been
Yep.
something. What was the other thing I was going to say? So yeah, all these states where Trump and Kamala are running pretty well neck and neck. Remember, on average, Trump. How did they word this? Trump exceeded poll numbers by about 3 to 5%. So if it's 47-47 in Pennsylvania, for example, and I think right now it's like marginally leaning Kamala, but it's less than a percent. So keep that in mind. Trump could outperform that number by as much as 5%. And that would be a historically trending number. And see,
Yeah.
after a bad economy like we've had, I think that number's higher. I think it could be as much as 10%.
I don't think all the abortion talk and women's rights and all this other stuff is enough to sway voters this time because of how bad the economic policies are, especially foreign policies. Everything right now is a disaster. Every aspect of the government right
And
now is a
and
disaster.
and what's frustrating to me is the fact that you can point to things that are happening right now and say this was not happening when Donald Trump was president. And you can point to reasons why. It's not a coincidence. That's the thing. A lot of times you'll hear me say on the show that, like, well, you can't really attribute that to him. So it's like, no, there are things you can point to. Israel, China's further aggression in the South China Sea, and just generally speaking, Russia invading Ukraine. These are all things that you can point to the Biden administration's failure in Afghanistan and point to say, yes, this gave our enemies motivation. The fact that you gave Iran about $18 billion back in frozen assets. What do you think the largest sponsor of terrorism in the Middle East is going to do with $18 billion?
They're gonna terrorize.
It's like you were handed the world's strongest economy after a global pandemic and you fucked it up because you spent even more money. Now you
All
can
they
give
had to
you can
literally do was just figure a way to stop spending money for just a cycle, and the deficit would have started falling, and then like the dollar would have gone up, and then they could have spent more on the deficit. And like it's like, come on, guys,
exactly.
economics are really not that hard.
It's really not. Like it's kind of shameful how complicated they've made it. It's truly not. It's really not. You like it can all be attributed back to personal finance. It gets a little bit dicey when you're talking about because credit's a little bit different when you're talking about like a nation versus a person, but like fundamentally, I mean, Andrew Jackson did it. He got the deficit down to zero. He got the national debt down to zero. I'm sorry. Um, but
Did
like,
Bill Clinton?
oh, he had a surplus actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
don't
okay.
think he
So
was.
that's
There was only a couple.
I don't think he got the. It wasn't a national debt surplus. It was a deficit surplus, meaning that there was still national debt, but their spending and revenue made it so
Was
that
in
it was
check.
well,
Yeah.
there was a bit of extra money in terms of the
Mhm.
deficit. Yeah, it was national debt didn't get down to zero. I don't think since
And what
Jackson.
happened in the 90s, dude? Like the reason Bill Clinton was such a star was because of how well everything was doing.
Well, and the irony is that Bill Clinton took the middle path. He wasn't like a hardcore Democrat in that regard.
He
Economically,
he wasn't his wife. That's what everybody doesn't understand.
no,
Like everyone
because
says that she controlled him. I was like,
because once Bill Clinton actually got into office, he understood how economics works. I'm actually praising
mm,
Bill Clinton for, you know, meeting Republicans in the middle and having one of the greatest economies. Say there was a slight depression in the early 90s, but Clinton wasn't elected until was it
91
90
or
91 or 92?
I
Hold
think
on, I have to
so.
what was I
87, 91.
so he
Yeah.
got elected, he won the election in 91 and took office in 92, right?
Yeah. 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 think
Hold
so.
on, I'm gonna fact check that real quick. Do 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 do. Oh no, we were wrong. So he served from
88 and 92.
he served from he was elected in 92. He served from 93 to 2001.
Okay.
God, that's wild. The fact that we were alive during that 2001 election. It's only 23 years ago, yet it feels so long ago.
That's
Did you
because
know?
it's how memory works, man.
Did you know that when that election took place, this technology didn't exist?
The technology did exist,
No,
but it
not
was not placed
we couldn't.
because
No, we couldn't
there were people that could video chat back in the day.
video
We had
chat,
webcams.
but not live stream it to a mass audience.
Well, supposedly they live streamed the moon landings.
That was television though. That wasn't the internet.
A little different. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. I'm with you.
different technology. I guess technically we could have, but
You're
we
right.
would have
You're
had to.
right. You're right.
We would have had to have been attached to a television network.
See, that's what happens when you get on podcasts, man. You just got to argue this. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just listen,
But
hear
yeah,
me
no,
out.
we didn't have this technology.
Yeah, hear me out. Aliens.
They're from Asgard.
An ancient culture
Dude,
could have viewed them as gods.
have you seen like the stupid flat Earth map? And
Oh
like literally
God.
they have Asgard on it. And
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Hang on. Time out. Asgard is not. So the Earth would be Midgard. Asgard is a different plane of existence. I have to see this map.
so basically the Earth is the circle in the middle, whatnot, and then on the outside of an ice wall or something is like three different huge continents or something like that, and
Oh,
one of
okay.
them is Asgard.
You know what? That
It's
that
it's
that
not
might.
it's not an actual place. It's just that they supposedly that's the name of it, and that's And I'm
So
just like, okay,
that might actually be legit in terms of Norse mythology because there is a. It's not an ice wall. It's actually a world-eating serpent. So that's what surrounds. It's a giant snake that's eating its own tail. That's what keeps the oceans. I think that's right for Norse mythology. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
that'd
right.
be crazy,
Well, yeah. So if the thing decides to stop eating its ass, it's like a dog
dude.
chasing its tail.
Like think of it this way, man. Either that's true,
Aliens.
either the Bible, like either aliens, all of it is equally awesome. I don't care. Like everyone's like, oh, it could be this, this, that. It's like, dude, it's all equally awesome because they are crazy stories that we're part of. We just,
I suppose. But yeah, like I said, I think JD was the clear victor of this
oh
debate,
yeah,
and I can argue this point. So, like, if you disagree with me, come on, we'll talk about it. I'll just
dude,
tell
I've tried
you.
to get so many people to come on when they just agree, disagree. Oh, I don't have time for that. But I'm like, you got time to go back and forth with for me for 6 hours out of this day? Okay.
I was so proud. There was some guy who kept who was commenting on one of our posts on TikTok, and he actually said he was like, if you're not a coward, you'll invite me on your podcast. And I said, yeah, come on, absolutely. No response. He was not expecting that. Just
Like,
like,
why do they think that? Like, not even conservative. Like, we're pretty much middle left and middle right. Like, we're about as center as you can get. If you put us both together, like we would be dead center. Like, that's pretty much. That's I think that's a fair assessment. But why do people act like we're afraid to talk? I talked my
no,
entire life.
yeah, exactly. No, it's what we do. We do it for fun, for fuck's sake.
Like, Dave, we don't even get paid to do this.
Not yet.
Not yet. We're getting there.
Imagine when we do get paid, then we'll get real fucking annoying.
Oh, dude, I was just be like, and you're paying us to do this. No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck you.
I know. I can't wait to get some different segments going. Like once my life is not on hold anymore.
I am reaching the breaking point though of having too
Oh
many
yeah, sure.
podcasts. Like there's a wall here. There
Oh,
needs
it's
to be
not a
a change.
podcast. I want to I want to branch out and do different types of videos, like more
Yeah.
on the go type, like recorded and whatnot. Like I'm getting kind of burnt out on the sit down and talk. Like I kind of want to be on in the field. You know what I mean?
Get in the field. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
talk with people and whatnot. Maybe like venture out. I haven't talked with people in a long time, so anyway,
are
so
you
lead
a
us out.
human? You
Not
go into the
anymore.
big city. You go into the big city and be like, "Oh my lucky stars, a Negro."
Holy stars! Dude, that shit was so funny.
It's a great moment. It's not
How do you
racist.
do? I do fine.
It's a great moment. Anyway, that's it.
Vance won. That was it. Vance won.
Vance won.
Like easily. I already knew it.
This 2.5 hour podcast is all about telling you that JD Vance won. So,
Dude, I don't know how we just freestyled 2.5 hours of
dude,
this.
we do it all the time. Actually, I know you didn't watch it, but you should. We did an episode of Toon Talk last night that I'm not kidding. Virus
Your
came.
best?
What's that?
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Virus came up with this idea at 3 p.m. We go live at 8 p.m. We we put three fictional characters on trial, and as we were doing it, we came up with the idea that somebody would actually play the witnesses that were brought to us. We weren't just going to argue points. And we came up with the idea as we were doing it. The whole thing's freestyled. It is fucking hilarious.
Okay. I'll
It
check
is
it out.
so goddamn funny. And actually, so we put Darth Vader, um, the George Clooney Batman, and Goku on trial. And
Okay.
I'm actually quite proud because who did I end up playing? I think I played all the witnesses for the Darth Vader trial. So this includes Obi-Wan, Luke Skywalker, Padme, and R2D2.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine Goku. Like, oh, what's that in your hand? Is that food? Like, sir, this is a
I I
Bible.
I actually did. I played Goku as well and Frieza as witnesses.
Did you do I can't remember his name. The newer Frieza, or did you
I did the
Linda
newer.
Young?
I can't do Linda Young,
Okay.
so I did the Chris Air, and I actually there's a newer
And
the
he'll
Chris Air.
be dead.
Yeah, and
Dude,
then I'm trying to
you'd
think.
have to smoke for
Oh,
like years to match her voice.
and I play. Actually, come to think of it, I played most of the witnesses. I think I played all the witnesses now that I think about it, because I
You
played.
overachiever, you.
Well, I mean, I guess I wanted to. I got to play the Christian Bale Batman. I did. There's some good references. I highly recommend you check that out because it's a hilarious episode, and I think we're gonna do it again, and it's gonna become like a semi-regular theme that we do. Except we did agree that we should only put two characters on trial instead of three.
Dude,
But
you
God,
guys
it's
should
funny.
you guys should do like when you get those certain characters on trial, if you guys don't want to do them, you literally have someone pop in on
We're
Zoom
going
and
to.
then fucking
That's the plan. That's what we're going to do. So I told him, I said, if we're going to do this right, we're going to work it out ahead of time. Because Justin joined us to be, and then Alexander, the Oracle, was the judge, the impartial judge for every case. It was funny. It was quite funny. It was quite hilarious. It's funny because I'm playing Padme Amidala, but I can't obviously I can't mimic Natalie Portman's voice, so I just threw a high pitched voice. But I'm British for some reason, like half the time. I have no idea why I'm doing. I have no idea
oh,
why
the
I'm doing this.
contents.
There's another great moment.
All of this will be yours.
There's another great moment where I'm Luke Skywalker and I'm on the witness stand, and Max just goes, "May I call you Luke?" And I just go, "No." It's
Only my
phenomenal.
friends do.
I don't know what persuaded me to just be like,
No.
no. It threw him for a loop because he was expecting me to say yes, and he's like, oh, and then, oh god, and then Justin is interviewing Obi-Wan, and he's like, Obi-Wan, Mr. Kenobi, Master Kenobi, Master Kenobi. God, it's good. I highly recommend you check it out. It's the latest episode on Toon Talk 2.0.
I saw Virus advertising it.
Yeah, we're rambling now though, so we're gonna lock this down. Um,
Spin another one.
yeah, go home.
2 in a
Go.
row, man.
Go. Yep. And I don't know what we'll do next week, but we'll figure it out. You'll be the third ones to know.
I'm sure there will be something to pop up.
Well, I have an idea, but we'll see. But anyway, we've taken up enough of your time, and if not,
Goodbye.
go watch old episodes. But until then, Fuck you and have
Especially
a
the
nice day.
Alex Jones and Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro.
We have some
Bye bye.
Shapiro.